Class, welcome almost to the end of our semester. We are going to talk about assignment 4, the integrated lesson. Now, let's kind of keep in mind, we'll back up. In teaching and learning in the School Library Media Center, our first big assignment was to research different topics that are important in the areas of teaching and learning. And then we moved into the NTech model assignment where we integrated technology. It was a long process, but it was really thoughtfully looking at how do we design a lesson that effectively integrates the technology into the actual learning rather than just using technology as a tool. And then our assignment 3, we were designing instruction for a specific population, whether it was special needs, GT, dyslexia interventions, or ELL students, but it was designed for a very specific population. And we did use some of the things that we'll use in assignment 4, but we are going to add components. This is going to build and bring up the biggest teaching assignment, designing an integrated lesson. And we'll be following an instructional design model. So we'll be using that needs assessment like we did last time. We'll also be building our objectives, but we will be using a little bit different format, and we'll also introduce a learning styles inventory so we'll even know our students a little bit better. So if I get started as a teacher librarian, it's going to be your role to teach every student in every content area, every grade level, as well as work with those teachers in a team effort. So you'll need to be aware of the learners you are teaching, not only for what they are learning, but also how they learn. As a classroom teacher, you were with a relatively small group of students on a daily basis, and it was much easier to get to know them. At the elementary level, you might have only one class, so you have 25 students at the most. I know that several of those middle and upper elementary classes now, they are content specific, so you might have 75 learners in a day, but even at the secondary level, 150 is the maximum you can have in a traditional classroom setting, and you might go from that 150 students a day to 570 if you move into the Library Media Center at that same building. Or you could have upwards of at least 1,000 students before they have to add another full-time school librarian. I think that's at 1,500, but I know that the laws changed. So it's a lot harder to get to know your students up close and personal. It's just not always as easy. So this is why it's imperative for you to physically meet with and collaborate on lessons with those content teachers well in advance of those students entering the library. To do so, it will help you know the learning needs of the students, and it helps you, once you've done that needs assessment, to really be able to tailor your instruction for that group of students. Secondly, you'll also be determining the learning styles of the students with a learning analysis. Using this information, you'll generate a set of instructional goals and objectives that can be taught by you, the teacher librarian, in the library. And this is an updated assignment, so hopefully you will go back and access this. I realized if you had been looking at the one that I had uploaded previously, I was missing some information, and this highlighted yellow will talk about the ASL lesson database in just a minute. So your assignment components, the first thing you're going to do is introduce the classroom. You're going to select that content area teacher you're going to collaborate with on this lesson. You're going to name the teacher, the grade level, the subject area. You're going to identify a classroom instructional lesson that's taught by that teacher, which could be extended, reinforced, or remediated within the School Library Media Center. So let's say all of your 7th grade students in the building are studying the Holocaust in literacy. So after you collaborate with the literacy teacher and you guys determine, based on your needs assessment, that you could extend the learning and design a virtual scavenger hunt of the Anne Frank House online. or you could conduct a book pass using nonfiction and fiction related to the Holocaust, which would then take the students into a literature-based project where they read something that they have chosen, and then they put together some type of presentation to share the book that they chose based on their interest during that book pass. That's just something fairly quick. And I thought I fixed this, but I still am missing my number 2. Sorry. The second piece, then you'll move into the needs assessment. So when you conduct it, remember, it's just that set of questions that you sit down. It's not always a formal document that you have on the internet. You could probably Google one. Usually it's just a conversation that you have with the content teacher. Find out what they're teaching, ask questions. What do your students know about the topic? What have you covered so far in the class? What do you want your students to take away from your lessons that you are teaching? Those are those questions that become that needs assessment. So you consult established standards, whether it's their content standards or even yours, and see where they can fit together. Now, the available lesson plans, there used to be fantastic ones on the American Association of School Librarians database. They had an entire database put together with lesson ideas based on the old frameworks. They've taken that down, so there are no sample lesson plans for you to consult this time. LMNet does have sample lesson plans that might have examples that help you and that content teacher make informed decisions. But really, if you look up or Google, we're masters at finding things on Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers. So basically, if you will locate, find out whatever content they're working on, and then maybe extend by finding, you can find a sample lesson that might go with it, but of course you're going to need to tweak it and make sure that it fits specifically with your learners. So for this assignment, once you've sat down and talked to that teacher, you're going to write down those questions in the form of a document. You're going to put a copy of the document and the responses under the needs assessment in Appendix A, but you're going to write up the results in this second part. You're going to tell us what that needs assessment told you. Then you're going to move into the learner analysis. Yes, I realize it still should be number 3. The learner analysis, this is going to help you determine the best way that these students learn. You're going to look at, I've included 2 survey tools from a Turner and Riedling text, and I did check with Dr. Copeland to make sure we were under fair use. It's a text that we have used, but I'm only sharing 2 parts of it, so it's not enough. It's still under fair use because this is direct teacher instruction. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that I was trying to make sure I didn't violate copyright. But you can use the tools that I've included, or you can create a survey of your own, or you can also locate one. There are several learner styles or learning analysis that are out there on the internet if you would rather do a technology-based one. But you'll administer this learner analysis. This is that you administer to the students. This isn't one, where you're checking with the teacher to find out if they're auditory or visual, but you're going to directly get with the students and find out what types of learners they are. And honestly, for this, if you have 5th, 6th, and 7th grade in your building, you might only need to do this once a year, with all of the 5th graders, all of the 6th graders, all of the 7th graders, and kind of keep those results based, so that as you go throughout the year, you don't have to do a learner analysis every single time if it's a specific class that comes to you all the time. You're going to write up a summary of the results under the heading Learner Analysis. In this assignment, you'll put a copy of the survey tool and the responses in Appendix B. Then you'll move into the content standards. Once you've found out the topic and you have found out how the learners learn within this class, then you'll need to correlate and find content standards and information literacy standards that would go together for this lesson. And you're going to note both sets. You're actually going to use 3 sets to collaborate between the content area teacher and you, who are the teacher librarian. your main part is going to be to teach some type of information literacy skills, and those will be based on the American Association of School Librarian standards, and you'll need to look up the new ones. They were just posted, which we've been using the book throughout this course, but you'll also need to find at least one Arkansas School Library Media framework or standard to use for your information literacy skill instruction. And then you'll also identify at least one content area standard based on if you're doing math, you'll find a math content standard, or if you're doing a language arts unit, then find whatever. If it's for 4th grade, make sure you find the 4th grade Arkansas language arts frameworks and pull at least one. You can use 1 to 2 of each of the standards for that lesson, but be choosy. Don't try to include them all. If you're going to do something with technology, you could also expand and look up the ISTE standards for students and choose one of those as well. So once you've identified the standards that you will be trying to cover within this instructional time or unit, then you're going to create your instructional objectives. This time it's collaborative, so you're actually going to do 2 sets of terminal objectives and 3 enabling objectives for each of those terminal ones. One is going to be, you're going to do 3 content terminal objectives. Those are kind of overarching goals that these will be for the specific content area. And then you'll have 3 enabling objectives that will help you get to that content terminal objective. But then you're also going to have 3 information literacy skill objectives with 3 enabling objectives under each of those. And all of the objectives will be written in, they will be behavioral, and so they will be in ABCD format this time. It's not what the school librarian or school library can provide for these learners like we did in Assignment 3. These will be specifically behavioral objectives for your student learners. And we'll go over how to write your objectives in a minute. The next set, you'll have the assessment. You'll describe how are you going to assess the student performance. And you'll attach any copy of any assessments. These can be formative and or summative that will go on throughout this project. So maybe you're going to have some exit tickets or entrance tickets each day, and then at the end there will be a final culminating project, maybe a Prezi, or maybe you're going to have them kid blog about whatever artist they were researching for their art class, but you will describe what the assessment tools will be. And in Appendix C, you'll actually attach a copy. If you've got any rubrics that go with the project, or worksheets or think sheets, or any of those ways that you will assess, you'll include those in Appendix C. Then you'll move into your instructional strategies and activities. For this part, you're going to only outline the instructional strategies and activities that will be used by you in this part of the lesson. So the instructional strategies should be ones that are reflective of the learner analysis. You know, it's appropriate for these learners, but you don't have to come up with instructional strategies or activities that the teacher is going to do in their classroom. But here you'll write up the different instructional strategies and activities, and then at the end you'll include copies of any of the activities, if they're worksheets or game descriptions, or if you're going to design a Kahoot or something as some of the activities, you'll include any of those in Appendix D. And some of those may be the same as the assessments you had done earlier. Just submit them in both places. You'll provide an outline of the instruction. I find it's beneficial to use columns with headings, what the teacher will do, or what the teacher librarian will do, and what the student will do. So this time, you're just doing what the teacher are going to do, and what the students will do. Give enough detail to ensure that another person could present the lesson without asking you for several details. So kind of pretend you've got a substitute. Use transitional devices to provide the order of instruction. First we'll do this, second we'll do this.